Okay. So we're going to talk today about securing a scene. Okay, so with a lot of dispatchers, we have to tell the callers about pre-arrival things before the officers get there. But it takes up a lot of their time, and that makes it so we don't have as many officers to dispatch on our other calls. So a lot of calls pend, and a lot of dispatchers wonder why it takes so long. So this kind of explains on that. First of all, so my background, I'm a 911 dispatcher. I intern at the fingerprinting department at UPD. I have my criminal justice associates in May. I've processed evidence before and done plenty of ride-alongs with actual officers and forensic units. So, enter. Okay. So the main point is that we want to keep the scene as it is, and we don't want to disturb anything for evidence, anything like that. Okay. So the officers aren't done with their job just because someone's pronounced dead or they just recovered the stolen vehicle. That's when a lot of the work comes in, is after that fact. Even though that's where it ends for us, it's not where it ends for them. So our key points there are pre-arrival or scene safety, our crime scene, and our courts. There are some graphic photos in here, just a couple, but yeah. Anyway, just so you're aware. Okay, so the pre-arrival. So pre-arrival is anything, for us usually it's the instructions we give for CPR or things like that. They're pre-arrival instructions. But for this it means anything that can preserve the scene before the officers get there. So this is not disturb anything in the scene, weather conditions, anything like that that can help that. So, like I said, not disturb anything in the scene, leaving it as it is. If you have a burglary, you want to make sure that they just leave the actual house because we don't want to disturb anything else. We'll talk a little bit more on that later. These things so tiny. Okay, so, and things that are already obstructed in the scene, if they had to move them, we want to make sure that we're notating that in our calls so the officers know when they do that for their report. Also, just time management to make sure that we have everything in a good time in our calls for the officers so they can get there and know what to expect when they arrive. So life over property, though, we want to make sure that we're saving people over just the scene and all that. So on a hanging, we want to make sure that we actually have them cut them down and just loosen the noose to do CPR, opposed to just untying the noose, because that's part of evidence, so we don't want to obstruct that. Traffic accidents, we want to make sure that our callers aren't in danger. So with traffic accidents, we ask them to take a picture before they move their cars, because we'd rather not cause any more accidents. But we need to make sure that they have some type of notion of what happened. That's where it gets tricky. And then obvious echoes, which means that someone's dead on scene. So we want to make sure that we're telling them to leave it as it is, not to try. If they think they're beyond help, that we're not asking them to do anything else that could obstruct the scene. Moving evidence to attempt to save lives can cause gaps in the scene when they're trying to piece it all together. If they see something that's moved and normally it wouldn't be there, they might think it's evidence for something else, but really that caller had moved it to try to get to the patient. So we want to make sure that we're notating that and letting them know the importance on that. So that could go even like for an overdose. That could be if they overdosed and then they start having a seizure. We tell them to move all dangerous objects away. Well, if they have syringes from overdosing around, we want to make sure that they let the officers know that they moved those out of the way and they weren't wherever they put them. Okay, so sometimes we can have weather issues outside scenes mainly. So we want to make sure that the callers have a good memory, that they're looking at the scene, and you kind of let them know that they need to make sure that they... You threw me
what?
off.
I didn't. What?
It's cool. Anyway, so we want to make sure that they are that we're letting them know, hey, they need to re-explain this to the officers when they get there. So we need to make sure that they have a good memory on what happened, and attention to details, different things that if they notice that the door was partly open when they arrived, something like that, they need to tell the officers. Or if it's an outside scene, if wind kicked up something, they'll let the officers know, hey, this was there, not there. Anyway, and then recreating the scenes too, which can help with outside. If it's snowing outside, you have to recreate the scene later so they can piece that together. Crime scene though. So you get one shot at the scene. A big part of it is photography. So a lot of it has to do with lighting. So are you okay?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
So a lot of it has to do with lighting. We have to make sure that it's different from inside and outside. And what?
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in the photos. I'm just looking at them. I'm not
Naked
disturbed.
man dead. Right.
Yeah, it's a girl and
Girl
another
and
girl. So
Oh.
this is an example of how you need to take. So hold on, real fast. So when you walk into the scene, they actually start. They take a picture full screen, and then they start clockwise, and they start it clockwise. So I would come in the room and I would take a picture of the whole room, and then I would start here and I'd pan around. And you have to have something previously from the photo before. So if I took a picture of the wall here of half the TV, I would take a picture with part of the other half of the TV. So if you panned it all together, it would make a whole big circle
Like
of
a
the room.
panoramic.
Exactly, of a panoramic. Yeah. So so same goes for this. Also we don't delete any photos because we don't want them to think that we were obstructing evidence and we took pictures of something that could have made the case not go in our favor. And so we don't delete any photos, even if they're not blurry or if they're blurry or anything like that. You just keep them. So with this is the crime scene. This is two bodies here, and then we take a picture with it all in there.